Evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the session this evening. Can I just get somebody to confirm if you can hear me okay? Okay, amazing stuff. Great. So this session this evening, it's a series of sessions, introduction to Microsoft Dynamics 365. My name is Alex Chandiwana. I'm a solution designer for Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer. So training is an element I do carry out as part of my work within the space. So for some of you on the call, you might have had what Dynamics 365 is. Some of you might have had something called Dynamics CRM. So before we get going, um, I tend to like to have these sessions to be more interactive. So instead of myself just sitting here telling you all about it, so it sounds like a sales speech, I tend to want you guys to get involved. So one thing I want you to remember as we go through the session, there is nothing wrong in asking a question. There is nothing wrong in saying what you think it is. So if I can ask if how many of you on the call have had of Dynamics 365 and what it does. So if I can get some yeses and some nos, so we kind of have a flavor to see where we are, and then we can more or less go ahead.
Hello, praise God. This is Evelyn with Joy Eve. Actually, I haven't have any knowledge on dynamics at all. So I just want to have a background knowledge about it and then know what I can do with it. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So we have some no's, we have some yeses, which is brilliant. So again, for those who have said yes, great. For those who have said no, again, the same answer is great. So just going through our slides, we can see the slides okay, right? The main slide I'm sharing at the moment with introduction to Dynamics 365. Can everyone see that? Fantastic stuff. So what we're looking to cover this evening is to understand what is business application, what is involved, where is the A and where is the Z, and where does it actually fit in for you? And also to look at what artificial intelligence is and where artificial intelligence sit within Dynamics 365. We also have mixed reality. So when we talk about mixed reality, we're talking about, again, something, a sort of a software platform which fits in within Dynamics 365. So the very first question many of you must start asking, okay, what is this? What is this Dynamics 365? So Dynamics 365, it is a business application designed for several industries. It's more or less designed for almost every single organization on the planet, from a financial organization to a community organization to a charity. So we'll cover exactly where these systems fit in and why you need to know about these things yourself. So I'm going to go through the business applications, tell you exactly where it started. So in the 1950s, so this is just a little bit of history, so you can understand where it's coming and how things kind of gone massive, things have gone huge, and the demand for it. So 1950s, we're talking about mainframe computing at this point in time. There's not a lot of interest, a lot of use cases for it. As times and things moved forward in the 1980s, database marketing. We need to reach our customers. Businesses need to reach opportunities to do business with. So we started moving to database marketing. 1980s, we started hearing about CRM. So can anyone on the call uh, tell me if they've heard what CRM stands for? Not what it does, just what CRM stands for, anyone? There's no wrong answer. Remember that.
customer relationship management.
Awesome stuff. We're on the right track. So we started having CRM, we started having ERP and Salesforce automation. So these things started evolving in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And then in the 2000s, we started hearing software as a service. We started hearing about cloud technologies. So Microsoft, in particular, what we're discussing here, they decided to go and start using cloud platforms as at the same time also staying with their on-premise systems. So it started as CRM, mainly your customer relationship management. And if you can see here, the size, it fits only a specific scope of businesses, a specific scope of organizations. So Microsoft realized there's a need to expand this. So in the 2016s, 2015s, they come along with Dynamics 365 business applications. Business applications, which means as an organization, you work in finance. You do not want to use customer relationship management. You just want something targeting your finance area. So they started bringing in things like Business Central, Finance, and Operations. So all these names I'm talking about here, as we go along through the module, I'll show you exactly where they fit in and where they are. So here we are right now. We have Dynamics 365. Something which changed in recent years. Dynamics 365 was on its own. Now it belongs to a family. So there's a family for it, and we'll talk about what that family is. So in terms of the platform in itself, so in here, we all have had that buzzword, digital transformation, digital disruption. So in here, what you have, Dynamics 365 online. So in here, this could be a salesperson. He's sitting in an office somewhere, in a lounge somewhere. He's looking at what the customers are doing. He's looking for opportunities. So again, this is one of the use cases you have. So in some cases, what you have, it's on LinkedIn. One good example on LinkedIn, what the recruiters do, they don't handpick to say, okay, this is the person I'm going to send an email to them. They use Dynamics 365 in some cases. We're looking for this person with this specific job title. They just multi email you, and all of a sudden you get in your inbox on LinkedIn. Oh, we have these roles available. Are you interested? So that email is very, very personalized, and at the top they even put your name on there. So these are some of the things you can do with the Dynamics 365. So they can send that same inbox message to more than 200 people in one go. So you can imagine out of that 250, you come back and you tell them you're interested. Straight away, that is being recorded within Dynamics 365. That's now an interaction. He now knows this person is available for work. This person is interested. That's when they now start asking you, what's the best number to contact you? Then in some cases, if you have your number on LinkedIn and you got that email, that tells you where that email is coming from. They just haven't gone on your profile. They've gone onto that engine, it sends it out to you. That's why they ask you for your number. So in here, we have a lot of industries involved. So we look, for example, for those in the UK or anywhere in the world, the healthcare systems. So in this example, I'm going to talk about the NHS in the United Kingdom. So the NHS, what they've done here, they've leveraged Dynamics 365 to help store the patient data. So as much as you can see, most of the time, our amazing nurses and doctors, they still write things on paper. However, that information, they just see a page, they go and populate that page, that information is stored in Dynamics 365. You see here, we now have a shop, a clothes shop. So why is it important for a clothes shop to use Dynamics 365, or why is it being used there? So one of the use cases here is an organization will require to have some insights to make those key strategic decisions to say, okay, our market, this is what we need. These are the people we need to target. So if you see, again, apologies for those not in the UK, but I'll give an example of some of the shops in the UK. So again, we talk about shops like Marks and Spencer, Waitrose, Tesco, Sainsbury's. They know what their customers buy. The reason being, myself, yourself, anybody you go in that shop, you buy something. That product you buy is recorded in Dynamics 365. Where does it fit in for you? You're now the data analyst. You're looking at this data in this specific shop. This is what is selling a lot. If you look a few years back, I'll say about 7 years ago, you go into a Tesco around this time of the night, there'll be a lot of things on reduced because they're expiring. If you go nowadays, you don't see too many. It's because they now start using systems like Dynamics 365 to analyze what is being sold in their shops and to reduce those losses. In some cases, one of the things, if you see, for those of you who have been in Tesco's and you've seen, they have an area where they say world foods. It's not just to say they love us or they love to sell the world foods, it's because they know their target market. So if you see an area where those world foods don't sell that much, you won't find that section. So if you go to a Tesco from one side of the country in the UK to another, their product ranges are different. You might see things which are the same, perfect, but some of the things which are targeted, you won't find them in there. It's because they study the data, they know what sells, they know what their customers buy. So again, you're talking about car companies. So in this example here, in terms of car companies, you can look, for example, at BMW as an example. How do they sell their cars? How do they know which customers are going to buy the cars? How do they entice you into getting interested into their product? So in this example about BMW, I'm speaking about it because that's where I work myself. So what they have is here is they have a third party, a dealer. You go to a dealer, BMW give that dealer discounts available to people who work for specific organizations. So you get there, the dealer logs into a portal. That portal pulls data from Dynamics 365. It says, okay, this company has this amount of discount, so you can sell this. So I can tell you as an example, BMW, before a car is released, they already marketed the product to mostly the corporate organizations. So in some cases, a corporate organization can buy 4,000 cars just in one go. So this data is stored in there. So they know this data, our customers are buying this amount of cars. What else can we do if the cars are not selling? That's when sometimes you start seeing there will be something, either a sell. In some cases, they start telling you, you can either list the car from the dealer for a cheaper price. Most of the time, they want to get these vehicles on the move. They want to make money. So again, where does it fit in for you? You can be a data analyst looking at this data coming in, building Power BI dashboards, reading the data in Dynamics 365, showing the senior management team, showing those people responsible. This is the data we have. This is what we think is coming in. It's down to those people responsible to make the key decisions. Yourself, looking at the data, you present the data. So again, here you're bringing value. In some cases, you can be the designer, you can be a developer, you can be a tester within the whole workflow in here, talking about Dynamics 365 for a specific organization, looking to make sure things are working correctly, looking to make sure things are of value. So again, another example, if you see organizations who work on oil rigs. So in this case, I'll give an example of BP. So BP, they have an oil rig in Scotland. So in some cases, the engineer, they need to go and fix a problem is not in the UK. The engineer is in the United States. So what that means, the engineer has to get on a flight. into UK. From UK, they need to get on a helicopter to the oil rig. I'm sure you can see there's a problem with the oil rig. It could be either an explosion or it can disrupt the business operations. What you now have is Dynamics 365 remote assist. The engineer does not have to fly from America. The engineer stays in America. The engineer communicates with the people on the ground, give them instruction on how to fix the problem. So we're going to speak exactly how that fits in as well. So these are some of the use cases you have about Dynamics 365. So I think in this slide alone, we've spoken quite a lot of things. And one of the things I can tell you is do not get overwhelmed. It just shows you the full possibilities available with this product. So we're going to move to that keyword we spoke about digital transformation. So we talk about digital transformation. In this case, all of us on the call, we are customers of someone. We are likely to be employees in one way or another. And at the same time, we do get involved with products. So as a business, what we need to do here is to be able to get to our customers. Why is it important to get to the customers? So if you realize, all of you on the call here, you get in a shop or your home, the organization you do business with does not get in touch with you at all. Most of the time, you think, okay, let me look elsewhere. So a very good example here for those of you who have cars, the car insurance company, they tend to send you an email when it's about to expire. In some cases, they have a checkbox you check to receive offers from them. What it does is you get this email about the reminder. It makes us feel important because we think, okay, yeah, they know about us. So what tends to happen here is, okay, let me go and look what deal they have. In most cases, they don't give you a link to go to the website. They say to you, can you call us? Why is it important to call us? That phone call you're gonna make first thing is you're gonna make a connection and speak to somebody. And that person you're gonna speak to 10 times out of 10, they'll tell you you've been a valuable customer. We have a good deal for you. This is what we're gonna offer you. Of course, they'll give you an offer, that's for sure. However, if they don't send you that email, in some cases you're thinking, okay, my insurance is expiring. What do I need to do? You start looking somewhere else. In some cases, you go to the competitor. So engaging with the customer. So all the time when you make a phone call to a company, whether it's Sky, whether it's BT, whatever company you speak to, they have a system. It might be Dynamics 365. It might be a competitor of Dynamics 365 like Salesforce. They record that interaction. In most cases, you hear when you call, the call will be recording for monitoring purposes. If you abuse them on the call, it doesn't really matter. There's no way you're going to get to them anyway. You can shout as much as you want, but all they want is that data is recorded in a system. So I could be the unhappy customer. I could be the happy customer as well. They now have that insight. Okay, we have this amount of happy customers in a year. We have unhappy customers in a year. Believe it or not, in some cases, yes, some of these providers, they disappoint us as customers, but they never give up. The next thing is, okay, we have this set of customers unhappy. What can we do to gain their trust? They'll come back with an offer. In some cases, for those of you who have Sky at home, in some cases, they'll tell you your broadband line will give you 70% off. For those of you who use free, in some cases, they'll tell you for the next 6 months, it will be half price. But the catch here is if you look at it from a different perspective, they'll tell you after the 6 months, the price is this. The price matches the discount they're giving you. But because you don't look at the numbers most of the time, so this data is recorded in Dynamics 365. So this organization, they have a lot of vacancies. They have a lot of roles for data analysts, for project managers, for business analysts, for consultants, because they want you to help them to be able to capture this data. Vice versa, you're not the customer, you are now the employees. So you can imagine you're working for an organization, it's difficult to book a holiday. You're gonna be really frustrated because you need to travel. You can imagine you're an employee, you don't have access to look at your pay slip. You're gonna be thinking, okay, how am I getting paid? I need evidence to say I've been paid. So for organizations, most of the time now, the data is recorded in Dynamics 365. They'll give you access to your portal. You go and log into the portal, either you're putting your timesheets, either you're looking at how much they're paying you end of the month, either when are they paying you, you want to look at your P60 if you need it. So this is where this is now coming in. So most of the time, if you remember a few years back, you then have to email your manager, you email HR and say, oh, I'm looking for this data. Can you share with me? Now it's self-service. You go ahead and log in, you get anything you need. So again, these are some of the use cases, and there's a big scope for opportunity here in terms of our Dynamics 365. So again, we spoke about operations, how organizations make these key decisions. They have a system capturing the data. They have yourself as the data analyst bringing the figures for them. They have you as a business analyst looking at opportunities, building user stories. So again, there is a big scope here from engaging customers to give you that additional self-service, again, optimizing how they work. And then in terms of all these free, it then transforms their products. So in some cases, I don't know if you have seen, some of you get an email, or for some of you who travel on the tube when things were still open, you get to a train station, they're giving you chocolates, right? They're giving you a breakfast cereal. They're giving you toothpaste. It's not for free. What tends to happen there is you get it, you like it. In some cases, you tend to get one, you go ask for a second one, they never refuse, they give you. So very good example I can tell you here for some of you who've been to Stratford in recent years when things were open, you had Coca-Cola there. They had a new brand of their Coca-Cola flavor. They were giving them out for free. And initially, they giving that for free, they're giving that for free. The product came out, and I can tell you the sales didn't go as planned because some of the people were not even getting the drinks in terms of opening them. They were just taking them in the bag off the go. So if you see now, when they're doing these Coca-Cola things they're giving you for free, they actually open it for you and give it to you. So once you have it, either you like it or you don't like it. So in some cases, because it's such a small quantity, you are tempted to want to have a bigger bottle to actually have a few of the taste. In doing so, that product you bought in the store, it has a barcode. That barcode, they know is gone out to your customer. They know it's come out of the shelf. So again, there's a lot of insights here. So when you're talking about Dynamics 365, we're talking about data coming in, being stored. We're talking about data being processed. We're talking about outputs. So there's no reason for an organization just to keep data for the sake of keeping data. There is something of interest they want from there. So we then speak about this digital transformation. Something which is also happening is the digital feedback loop. So again, if you see all the things we spoke a few moments ago, it's for the organization to capture the detail. So the data and what's on the center of it is data and intelligence. So again, if you see, for those of you around the world, of course, we have the pandemic at the moment. And if you see aeroplane companies, they've already started giving you offers. They know when it's going to be open. And in some cases, they're also told by the authorities before it gets to the public. So what they do here, they put offers, and as many of us will go on there, we'll make a booking for a holiday because we need a break. It might be a cinema. They'll tell you, okay, buy one, get one free ticket. We're all gonna be there. What it does is it gives the organization an opportunity to prepare. It gives the organization to know how much revenue is coming in. So if you see in terms of data here and intelligence, why it's so important. If you see when COVID began, a lot of governments, they struggled so much to actually understand what's happening and how to deal with it. is because this part here was missing. There was no data. Now they have all the data. If you see any government leader speaking, they're speaking about numbers. They're speaking about numbers. That number has come from somewhere. They're speaking about saying, okay, this is the forecast. They're taking caution, but this is the forecast because there's data involved. There's intelligence to it. You talk about the vaccine, they know that these are the amount of vaccines we need. These are the amount of people we have in this specific region. So you won't go to a vaccine center and you get there, they'll tell you it's run out. If you see, you just don't go to the vaccine center. You actually make a booking, right? In your booking, the first thing is doing there is recording who you are. In some cases, they ask you for the name of your GP. If you don't know the name of your GP, it's okay. It's not a problem. They'll tell you, don't worry, put your date of birth. They have now connected the database from your GP, from NHS to this system. So you don't know your GP, from your date of birth, from your name, they're able to reroute it and connect it to your GP. So again, this is the importance of it. So the organizations, most of the time, it's about getting that intelligence. Why is it important? So in here, yourself, you're working as a data analyst. You are working for Tesco. So Tesco wants to be able to be on top of their competitors. Sainsbury, likewise, they want to be on top of Tesco. So what's happening here is it's important for you to be able to surface the data. If you're a developer, it's important for you to make sure what you've designed is working. Because if it doesn't work, what tends to happen here, it's the organization lose business. And in some cases, they lag behind their competitors. How do they lag behind their competitors? So one example here is a chain in the UK called Debenhams. So reason why Debenhams went out of business is mainly because they relied on their business in the high street. The pandemic came, people started loving buying things online. Some of their competitors were already selling these products online already. When Debenhams tried to expand, it was a bit too late. They've lost a lot of money. That's when it ends. So if you see the company which now comes in and say, okay, we are buying Debenhams, which is, I think is Boohoo, their operations are all online. So again, what you see here, there'll be more organizations which have these shops in the high street. Eventually, slow by slow, they'll start disappearing because people are now used. So if you look, for example, Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, you can order it on the day before, I think 10:30 a.m. It comes on the same day. So what that means is, do you still need to travel to a shop to get something you can just get straight away? So again, that's some of the competitions which is there, which is affecting a lot of business. So again, we're talking about outcomes. So if you see here, improve business outcomes. So it's important for you when you're working in this role to make sure you're bringing as much value on the table as much as possible, because this system is designed for that organization to have this data, to have these outputs, to see data. So again, we're talking about engaging with our customers. We're talking about making sure our employees are happy. If you see an organization, they have employees and they are unhappy, in most cases, like myself or anyone else, you don't stay at the company, you move on, you go look for something else. So in here, we're talking about Dynamics 365. So what I'm very interested in doing here is to show you some of the things which are available for you to go and explore. So I can go through what we are going through here every day. But what I tend to like to do is to give you the opportunity for you to go and have a look at it yourself. So in here, we have Dynamics 365. So these slides, I'll share these with the admin and they can be shared with the team where possible. So you have this site here. It talks about Dynamics 365. It also talks about the products. So you see, we have quite a lot of these products here now. So we're talking about sales. We're talking about service, customer service, field service, remote assist. We're talking about marketing, talking about commerce, project management, finance organizations, human resources, small and medium businesses, and supply chain. So as you can see here, there is something for everything. This is what you get, which is pre-configured already for you. However, there's a bit more to it, which I'll show you in the next coming slides. What you also have is experience.dynamics.com. There are some resources here for you to learn from. So just don't wait for myself or the team to say, okay, yeah, this is that, this is that. Also go a step further, start looking and seeing, okay, this is what's there. You can also see some of the things coming to the product. So again, this here, feel free to jump in, have a look at it, familiarize yourself with it. Again, if I go back here, what you can see here, there's a lot of things to learn. And my own personal recommendation is do not make an attempt to learn all of these in one go. Jump into here and say, this is my area of interest. I'm going to focus on this. Focus on one specific area, become the best at it. Once you focus on it, there's no reason why you cannot be the best at it. So again, just decide which specific area is of interest to yourself. So we then go to the business application platform. So we spoke about Dynamics 365 belonging to a family. Dynamics 365 now belongs to the Power Platform. So this is the Power Platform here. What is the Power Platform? Power Platform, it's a platform which gives you the ability to automate business processes, a low code, no code platform. You can create an app. Can anyone have a guess how long it would take you to create an app on here? Anyone want to have a guess how long it can take to create an app?
4.7 seconds.
How long?
4.7 seconds.
Okay, anyone else? How long it can take us to create an app which work on a mobile phone and a computer?
I would say 1 hour.
Fantastic. That's just that. You can create an app within an hour. Reason being is you don't need to be writing any code. You can do it within an hour. You have an app to capture your customer data. You have an app you can search for that data. You have an app to meet any need you have. So it could be an app to say, okay, this is the amount of learners we have on the platform. This learner is learning this specific area. This learner is at this stage. That can be done within 1 hour. But what's important is to make sure you understand what's required. Once you know what's required within an hour, you have a working app. So we'll go back to this site here afterwards. So we're going to carry on with the slides. So we're talking about the business applications platform here. So as I've already shown you some of these areas here. So what's important here is these are available on a mobile device. They're available on a laptop. Again, why all of these? If you see, the circle goes round. There's data, there's intelligence. There's data, there's intelligence. So what these here, there are Dynamics 365 modules. They belong to the Power Platform. For those of you who have had something called Power Platform, you then have Power Apps in there. Those are the apps you can create. You now have two types of apps. You now have a Canvas app, which you can create to meet your business needs. You now have a model-driven app. These Dynamics 365 modules you're seeing here, they are considered as model-driven apps. So within model-driven apps, within Dynamics 365, we used to have traditional workflows where you can create steps, criteria to automate these processes. However, these are slowly being phased out by Microsoft. You now have Power Automate. Power Automate is an engine to automate those processes. So you can say, if I receive an email from this person, I want this thing to happen. So in most cases, you see, you send an email to an organization, whatever time it is, you get an auto reply. In some cases, it points you to some information which can help your query by just looking at what's in your query. If it doesn't understand it, it passes it on to a person. We then speak about the outcomes. Those outcomes, they're used in this tool here, Power BI, which is a tool to bring data visualizations to life. So you can start having dashboards, having real-time data reporting on what the organization is doing, showing the numbers. Those numbers are very, very important because the management team, most of the time, they're on the move looking for more business. They're on the move to see what's happening around their competitors. They haven't got time to be sitting in meeting to say, okay, tell us how it's going. They just want to click something and see the numbers. So they can be in Scotland, they can be in Nigeria, they can be in the United States. They just want to click on something and just see the data. That's all they need. How you set it up yourself as a developer, how you work as a business analyst, someone within the organization gives you what they require for their organization. It's now your job to make sure this circle is not stopping. It needs to keep going round and round. If it stops somewhere around here, there's a problem. So again, in most organizations, what you see, some organizations might have this sales module, they might have business central, and some might have human resources. However, they don't expect you to cover all these. They'll have people or a team responsible for this, separate teams responsible for these other items. However, once you're great at one of these modules, feel free to push yourself and say, okay, let me pick another one. Why is it important? If you have more knowledge surrounding these products, it gives you a flavor to say, this year I'm going to be working on this. Next year, I don't want to work on this. I want to work on something different. So you can never get bored. There's always a different challenge to face. So what I would recommend is, remember, these are model-driven apps. And here is the main family. You have Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps. There's one more which I forgot to put in these slides, which is Power Virtual Agents. So what Power Virtual Agents is, it is a bot which is designed, trained to be able to understand what is likely to be asked. So in here, I'll give an example of NatWest as a bank. If you go on their website, straight away, there's a little pop-up. How can I help you? And in most cases, we think, okay, yeah, that's somebody. You type in your question, it will go and find a knowledge-based article. That knowledge-based article is a piece of information which could answer your question that is stored in Dynamics 365. So it will bring it back to you. In some cases, after that, did this help your query? Of course, no, it didn't. If you select no, it will bring something else different. After the second attempt, in most cases, if they're still open, they'll say, I'm going to transfer you to our team. If they have closed, what tends to happen is it will give you a form to fill. Normally, your name, email address, and your query. And then normally in the morning when they open up, someone responds back to you. However, this is getting clever and clever. Most of the time, it gets it right. So again, yourself, we spoke about as a customer, you get to an organization, you ask your question, you get your answer straight away, you are happy to do business with them. For an organization, they are always happy to see happy customers as well. So the question now is, why these Microsoft business applications? So like I said, there is something for each sector. So again, any business requirement you have, there is something which fits in there. So what Microsoft have underlying where this data is stored in Dynamics 365, they used to call it a SQL database. However, as times moved by, they changed it to CDS, Common Data Service. However, that has also changed in recent times, as recent as late last year. That's now called Microsoft Dataverse. So I'll show you what's involved in Dataverse. So again, you have business requirements. So in some cases, you could have a church as an example. A church wants to be able to understand the difficulties their congregants are having in terms of either attending a service, in terms of accessing information. So a church could create Dynamics 365, customize it. So when I say customize it, design it to meet those requirements. So if you see in accounting terms, they talk about ledgers. In church, we don't talk about ledgers. We speak about scriptures, right? So you want to be able for your users to, when they log in, they see scriptures. You want for a finance organization, they log in, they want to be able to see those terms which fits in those requirements. So you have the ability to actually customize it to meet those business needs. However, you also have the ability to write your own code on top of it. So it's not just what they give you, you can extend it yourself. One of the things to remember here is always keep in mind what is the impact of that change you're making. How is it going to affect the rest of the other components of the application? So again, you can integrate Dynamics 365 with Office 365. In some cases, it doesn't have to be Office 365. It can be Oracle. In simple terms, it can be anything. All you just need to make sure is you have the resources in your organization to be able to get those APIs to connect with Dynamics 365. So for one organization I worked with in the past, they integrated all their employee records into Dynamics 365. They integrated with a separate system from the HR system to bring all the data. So what I mean by the data, any disciplinary issues, payments coming in, that was all integrated, Dynamics 365 and a separate system. So again, there's a lot of scope here. So with Dynamics 365, for those of you who have heard about CRM, we used to have things called entities. We used to have things called fields, where the data is stored. We used to have things like two options or option sets. Those things have now changed during the transition from a common data service to Microsoft Dataverse. So in here, you now have Dataverse. So those things which are called entities or entity, if you go to the market now, they don't speak that language anymore. They talk about table. Table and entity, entities, we're talking about tables, right? Are we together on that one? Are we still okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So talking about fields, so believe it or not, they want to kind of have the same language in SQL. So they don't call them a field or fields anymore. We're talking about columns. We're talking about a column. In terms of records, we used to have things like a contact record. We used to have something called like an account record, which is an organization record. That's just now a row. We talk about option sets, which is a drop down with multiple choices. So in some cases, for those of you who go either order food online, the restaurant will have a list to say, okay, now you select your main menu, you select your side, you select your drink. Those things now they're called choices. And two options, yes or no. Again, as it says, yes or no. That two options used to have yes or no, but now it's now called yes or no. So it's very, very important on your learning journey when you go to the market to understand what these are. Reason being is in most cases, you go to a meeting. In some cases, you get an email. They're now referring to these things now, not these things. And again, there is a link in these slides here, which you can refer to the Microsoft site for any further updates which might be made to it. However, these are the key takeaways from it. So we spoke about the whole thing about data. We spoke about the whole thing about digital transformation. For some of us, we spoke about LinkedIn as well, right? About the recruiters getting to us. So I'm going to show you how all these things are connected and how they can also come to Dynamics 365. So here you are. So talking about human resources, for some of you, you've ordered a package, it hasn't arrived. You go on the website, there's somewhere says make a complaint. When you make a complaint in Dynamics 365, that's referred to as a case. So you go on that form, you fill it, it goes in the engine. Normally it goes to an email. That email is routed to create a customer case because they don't have your details. So they want to know exactly what the issue is. That's why most of the time they ask you for your phone number. And in some cases, they ask you for the order number so they can tally up that you're not happy. So the support case comes in here. It creates a record in Dynamics 365. It sends a notification to the person responsible. In most cases, they reply back to you, or if you're lucky, they call you instead of an email. Talking about patient data, we're talking about the COVID vaccine here. The shipments going all over the place globally. There's shipments going all over the country in UK. So again, this is traced in Dynamics 365. So some of us on the call, you probably had a boiler problem, right? And you call your supplier. The supplier said, okay, let me look to see when it's available. In some cases, you're talking about no hot water in the house. And they'll look in the system, they say, okay, can I put you on hold? I want to look at something. So at that point, they've asked you questions. They know what you have in your house in terms of that boiler. Now there's something called field service, Dynamics 365 field service. What does it do? It stores the qualifications, it stores the names of the engineers. So in most cases, they won't send you an engineer who doesn't know how to fix your boiler. So if they don't have an engineer who can fix your boiler, they'll tell you, we haven't got one available at the moment. The earliest we have is next week. And what tends to happen, if they don't have one from your local area, they get someone from a different area. And what tends to happen is most of the time we used to stay in the house, right, to wait for these deliveries to come. Now they give you a time slot to say your engineer will be at this specific time. They now have GPS on the vehicle. They now have GPS on that tablet, which links with Dynamics 365. It's not the driver sending you that message to say, I'm on my way. That is coming from Dynamics 365 directly to your mobile phone because they have it. Again, for those of you who order parcels, whether DPD, UPS, the same thing. Sometimes they ask you, are you willing to get notifications? Early morning, they send you an email. They send you a text message. Your deliverer, they give you a name. They even give you a name. And for those of you who order with DPD or who get deliveries from DPD, they give you a name of the driver and the time. Next time when that DPD driver comes, call them that name in the text message. That's not their name. It's just a message for you as a customer. If you're okay, yeah, I even know the name of my driver. That's not their name. Again, that's some of the powers of our Dynamics 365. So we talk about skills, and at the same time, we spoke about LinkedIn. So how does LinkedIn fit in with Office 365 and Dynamics 365? So I'm going to mainly focus Dynamics 365 to LinkedIn here. So we spoke about an organization or a recruiter looking for project managers as an example. What they'll do, they'll set up a criteria in Dynamics 365, and then they'll send up the broadcast. The broadcast starts looking at people in their connections or people in a specific area. And what it does, it looks for a specific keyword. So what it does, it looks for the people it needs. It tells you how many people to bring back. And then once it has those numbers, the recruiter triggers that message now that they have a role. So for those of you on LinkedIn, if you want to try it out, enable that you're looking for a job on LinkedIn. Just put a keyword you see on a job spec and see if you don't get an email in your inbox. So that's how important it is in terms of Dynamics 365. So most of it is not human interaction. It's all done by an automation system. So again, we're talking about documents, we're talking about merchandise, we're talking about meetings. All these, they connect. So we're talking about meetings here. That's where we start talking about Office 365. We're talking about opportunities where an organization can bring about business and make money. We're talking about those tables in Dynamics 365, previously known as entities. So again, these are all where it connects to. So if you see here, this can be a massive thing for an organization. Think about a bank, think about the health service, think about the government. So for example, as an example in government here, one of the areas, a project I've worked on, it's they have these ambassadors who get redeployed or they get deployed to a specific region. So we give an example here. We have an ambassador in the UK. They're getting redeployed and they've been sent to Nigeria, to South Africa, to Ghana. What the ambassador will do, their PR team, they'll go into Dynamics 365. They have something called a portal, Dynamics portals. They put the people going, how many people the ambassador is going with, if there's kids involved, how much things they have in terms of caring. What it does, it calculates how much money, how much budget is allocated to them. It also allocates someone either who's going to carry those things into the cargo aeroplane. So again, there's not a lot of paperwork being done here. Everything is automated. So one thing you need to remember here when you talk about Dynamics 365, always think about outcomes and how you can automate the processes. So in any organization, what they want to limit is human intervention. They want things to work as expected. So if they're not working as expected, that's why your expertise comes into it and you help that organization to fix it. So again, this is some of the things you have. So we talk about talent, where it goes in scout for people with a different skill, talking about people just in general. So for some of you who use some of these social media platforms, for example, Facebook, you're searching for a car. All of a sudden, any page you open now, they're telling you about cars. And you're thinking, what have I done wrong now? And in most cases, you ignore it, but eventually it keeps showing. And eventually, one way or another, you see something tempting and you click on it. I can tell you they know you have clicked on it. And what tends to happen here is if you're interested in this offer, complete these details. So they want your details. So in some cases, some people start talking about GDPR. So within that form, they're very clever. Small print, they tell you to tick that you consent to them contacting you. So they're not breaching GDPR at all. So again, this is where organization use this system. So again, it's not someone contacting people directly. It's all done by automation. So one of the crazy things I've done myself a few months ago is email. So what I've done with email, I realized one colleague was sending emails left, right, and center about football on a Monday morning. Created a Power Automate, which is basically a workflow. Every single Monday, if an email comes from that person, auto delete. So this guy was sending me emails, I was not getting them anymore. So what then happened with that workflow is that criteria used, it then picked up every single email they were sending me and just deleting it. So they started asking me, I'm sending you an email, where is it? So again, the lesson here for you is make sure whatever you set up, you test it, and you know it works as expected. Are we still okay?
Yes, we are.
Amazing stuff. Thank you. So here, this is the other website which I mentioned that I will show you. So I'll bring this website in here. So some of you are on the call here, you're thinking, Dynamics 365 is not for me. I don't really, not too sure. Some of you are saying, okay, yeah, that's interesting stuff. So again, what Microsoft do here, they make it a bit more easier for everyone across the globe anywhere. So what they have this portal here, which I refer to as a gold mine, because they have everything about their products here for you to learn. So in here, you have the option to select roles. So in here, you decide what you want to learn. If you want to be a data scientist, the option is there. If you want to be a functional consultant, it is there. Why I mentioned functional consultant is this is the version of Microsoft of a business analyst. Business analyst, you're a hybrid of capturing those requirements and also being able to do basic configuration. So in most cases, you look for a job within the Microsoft products, you say business analyst, you see quite a few. If you search for a functional consultant, you see there's loads of them. So again, there's loads of things here for you to learn. So in here, we're talking about Dynamics 365. I'm gonna go into functional consultant because there's a lot of functional consultant required in this space. So again, in here, we start seeing getting started with finance operations. For those of you who are interested in finance and operations, you have getting started, Dynamics 365 Business Central. First, it tells you how long it will take. It tells you it's for a beginner, for an existing consultant, and it's targeting this product family. So again, there's a lot of things for you to learn in here. So there is videos, there's also quizzes at the end of it. You can do it at your own pace. So there's no need to say, okay, I need to finish this by tomorrow. Step by step, understand it, and keep pushing. So going back to the slides here, we're now going to talk about artificial intelligence. So now you understand the base of what the business applications is. So what artificial intelligence will bring in this here is to identify. So in terms of artificial intelligence, an organization wants to be able to identify what is working. They want to be able to see what is working. They want to be able to know what can they improve on. In some cases, in the past 24 hours, something which has happened, most of you in the UK or will watch the TV, you've seen there's news about Harry and Meghan, the interview. So in some cases, for an organization, they start thinking, what is it we can do to understand what our people are thinking? So I'll give you an example. You then talk about ITV. They see what's happening on Facebook. They see what's happening on Twitter. They realize that will affect their brand with one of their employees. So what do? They decide to make that strategic decision. The employee needs to step on the side. For those of you on Twitter, go on Twitter now, you start seeing people now saying, oh, I can watch GMB again. I can watch it again, because people were now saying, oh, I'm not watching that again. So again, that's the organization losing business. So they make that strategic decision. This is what we are doing and this is how we're going to fix it. So again, in terms of where this comes in artificial intelligence, they're just looking what's happening on social media. Another example I can give you here, in the UK, you have the government which tells its audience, we're going to level up. UK, that's the term they normally use, meaning they want to balance up everything, right? Sounds amazing, sounds great. So what they do, these people, they go and look at their people. They go and look where the strongholds is. So if you look at all the areas where they've given funding, this is where the people who voted for their government are. It's only one or two which are out, but most of it is where the people, where they've won these seats away from the different party. So what happens here is they're looking at the data. They're looking at people on different networks. This is what people are saying. This is what people are talking about. They go and do something about it. So in organization, they want to use artificial intelligence. They don't want to go around and give leaflets and say, okay, yeah, read this leaflet or fill out this form. Just want you to go yourself. You go on Facebook, you're writing what you like, whether Instagram, Twitter, any feed. You're writing what you want. That's why you see Facebook and WhatsApp now, they're now saying they want to share the data. So it comes into Facebook. They want to share the data. They realize there's money because Facebook will make money. Organizations will get insights on exactly what's happening out there. And then they can now either do targeted marketing or they can make key decisions on what's happening. So that's where this whole artificial intelligence comes into it. So I can tell you there's an app which Microsoft released 2 years ago. And this app was meant to for you to take a picture and it predicts how old you are, predicts your color, predicts if you're smiling, your demeanor, if where your background is. And this app, for those of you who have an iOS device, this app is called Seeing AI, Seeing Artificial Intelligence. So what happens here is initially it will get the age out by either a year or 2 years over. And the more they keep training it, it's getting closer and closer. You just take a picture of you, it might just be in your living room. It sees the background as well. It tells you this is the color. For those who have poor eyesight, take a picture of money. It tells you how much money it is. So again, this is the power of artificial intelligence. In some cases, many people get scared and say, okay, I'm gonna lose work. This is gonna take me out of work. So someone asked, what's the app called again? This is called Seeing AI. So I'm gonna post it in the chat window here so you can try it as well. So again, what this app does as well, it does translations. You take a picture, whether something is written in Spanish or in French, it translates it for you, either reads it out for you or to your English language. So it's got a few languages on there, not many of them, but as times and as it matures, you start seeing more things there. So here we're talking about sales insights using artificial intelligence. We're talking about customer insights, which we mentioned in here. So if you see in here, in this screenshot here, it's quite an old one now, talking about social media. And we're talking about them sending you an email to say your insurance is about to expire. They know you've opened it. So if you see here, it actually tells you this person has opened the email. And 10 times out of 10, it also tells them how long you was on that email. In some cases, you open the email, okay, yeah, it's fine. You close it, you go to bed. The following day, 2, 3 days later, you open it, they know you've clicked on it again. And once you click it once, twice, 3 times, it makes them really happy because they know you might have a bit of interest and they'll keep pushing more offers to you. They keep pushing items to you, and eventually you think, okay, this is too good to ignore, and then you like it. So if you see again, when you visit their website, in some cases when you put your details in, they know you have put your details on there, and they see how much you've been on their website. So that way, they target you. In some cases, they start thinking, what is it we can offer this person? What is it we can get from our customer? So again, there's a lot of possibilities here with artificial intelligence. Start talking about KPIs. So you want to see what your support teams are doing. You want to see the call center staff, what they are doing. Here you start just having, so this is what I was talking about. This can be done in Power BI. You cannot do this in Dynamics 365. So Power BI is embedded in Dynamics 365. That's where the senior leadership team just start seeing these numbers here. And in some cases, that's when they drop an email to either the supervisor or the manager to say, can you explain to me what's happening at this point? And you're thinking, okay, this guy hasn't been in the office for so long. They're seeing this data, they're seeing it in live, real time. So they start asking questions, and because you have KPIs here, there is areas where they say, okay, if this KPI is not met, this flag has to go. The managers have to know this is what's happening. So whether the manager is opening this, they get an email with these numbers here. So again, this is one of the key areas of customer service insights. So it's very, very important for you to know these things exist. In some cases, an organization might ask you about it. So we then speak about virtual agent for customer service. So in here, what we're talking about here is you see yourself as a developer, as a functional consultant, you can load up your topics in here to say, okay, our customers are mainly asking about specific voucher. So it might be you're going on the Microsoft site, you're asking about a voucher. They load these topics in here. And eventually, the more you ask, other people ask, it starts knowing, okay, this is what they're asking. Let's direct them to this page. And if you see in most cases, these pages you go to, they're frequently updated because sometimes there's additional information they add to it. So virtual agents, very, very important, brings a lot of value to organizations. In most cases, I'm pretty sure you used to hear people saying, oh, I'm working overnight at a call center. That's slightly reducing now. There's quite a few people doing that. Mostly it's handled by this virtual agent. It does it, and if there's human intervention, that's when he sends an email to say, okay, can you get in touch with this customer? So in most cases, for those of you who use online banking or you go to the website of your bank, what tends to happen is they don't, the agent just doesn't straight away start talking to you and say, okay, yeah, your account is this and that. They start asking a few details, security questions. This interacts with the Dynamics 365. Apart from interacting with it, it records the data. It records that interaction. That's why in most cases, they'll tell you, you spoke to our colleague online. It's because you've come here, they've captured the data, they're able to see exactly what's been happening. In some cases, if it's gone wrong, they do apologize. So talking about marketing. So if you see here, there's quite a bit of a trend. There's something for each market, right? So we're talking about market insights. So you're talking about British Airways right now. There's no need of them having their all the fleet of their aircraft at Heathrow Airport. There's no need for that because they haven't got customers coming in. And there's no need for them to go buy new airplanes right now because there's no demand for it. So what then happens here is people start traveling a lot. You start finding tickets, you can't find them. That's when they start thinking, okay, we need to expand our operations. If you see for British Airways, they laid off a lot of their pilots. So what then happens here, they'll start hiring some of these pilots and say, okay, do you want to come back? Because there's more work to be done. So it's the same thing with Amazon. Initially, when the pandemic started, they struggled to get these deliveries to their customers. Again, there was no data. There was no intelligence to suggest that a lot of people are going to start ordering online. In supermarkets, that's why they started saying to you, oh, there's a limit of these products. If you see on this second lockdown, that limit was not heavy because they now know what their customers want. They also know what supplies they have, what supplies they can give to their customers. So they now start saying, okay, this is the market, let's just do it this. So if you see nowadays, I think before the second lockdown, you go in a supermarket, it was tough to get rice. Nowadays, they now know the rice is going to be there. They just bring what they know is just going to sell. So again, they're now looking, using artificial intelligence of what's happening with the market. This example here just shows you an example of a coffee. So if you talk about a coffee shop at a train station, there's not many people coming to buy it. So again, that organization start making key decisions. What time do we open? What time do we close? They're not going to open the same way they open because there's not a lot of business happening. So we talk about fraud protection. So Dynamics 365 again has the capability to pick up fraud. So most banks, you're traveling abroad, They have an option. You can go on the app, tell them you're traveling to a specific country, and they'll allow you to use a card there. In some cases, if you don't tell them, you try to pay, the next thing your card is locked. You get a text message. We have seen a fraudulent transaction. Can you contact us? And it's getting clever and clever. Again, I keep referencing NatWest because I know they have this. So they now have the option on your app to say any transaction you want to make, you need to approve it. So for me nowadays, I can leave my card on the road because I know no one can use it. The most you can just get is the numbers on it, but I can lock my card on the app, or if you try to pay with it, I need to approve it. If I don't approve it, you cannot pay for anything. So again, these are some of the things you now have. So if you're working for a financial organization or an organization which needs to have these capabilities, it's not someone sitting to say, I'm watching this. You set your parameters, you put the rules expected by the organization, and then this starts working in itself using artificial intelligence to say, okay, this guy, the card is registered in East London in the United Kingdom. All of a sudden, this guy is making a payment at 1 o'clock in the morning in Manchester. In most cases now, those things are stopped because they want to know, okay, what's happening? Normally they send you a text message, reply Y or N to say it's you. If you reply yes, the next thing you get a message, you can go ahead and make the payment. If you don't reply, they'll send you another message. Can you contact us urgently? And then if you don't, because around 1 o'clock you're probably sleeping, they just block the card until you call them. So it's some of those things which happens. And when you wake up in the morning and you hear such things, in most cases you say, can you just cancel the card? Can I get a new one? So it's those capabilities which Dynamics 365 brings. So in here, product insights, organizations wants to see where they're selling more. Organizations wants to see their IT infrastructure, where things are working well, where systems are down. Again, all these, you can connect Dynamics 365 to your infrastructure to see exactly what's going on. So again, by doing so, you're delivering a great customer experience because you're doing everything, you're being proactive to deliver a service to your customers. And again, the more you do that, like any other person, we start speaking to our friends, we start speaking to our neighbors. I get my broadband from from this company. They give me a great service. I haven't had any problems at all. Believe me or not, some cases you have a problem, but that service goes a long way. You then start doing free advertising for them, which is nice, which is what they want. And then your neighbor says, okay, yeah, my contract is expiring next month. I'm going to go to them. And again, what they now do is, again, introduce a customer. They give a £50 voucher. £50 voucher for them is not a lot of money because your colleague, your friend is bringing more money to them. So they're actually gaining from the free advertisement you're doing for them. So again, these are some of the capabilities which are available. You then go to connected store. So again, connected store, you can basically look that the customer needs are met effectively and quickly. So what I mean by that is you go into a shop and you ask them, do you have this in stock? Normally they'll go at the back, right? And trying to look on the shelves and they'll come and tell you, oh, sorry, it's out of stock. Most shops now, where the Sainsbury's, it's Tesco, the big ones, B&Q, they got these iPads. They type in the product in there. They tell you it's not available. Okay, as a customer, that's not good enough, right? They tell you we do not have it here. We do apologize. But if you go to this store, they actually tell you the store which has that product. Straight away, you go to the shop and you get it. For those of you who want to check this out, look at Currys. If you go on the Currys website, just attempt to buy a product, put your postcode. It tells you if they have it in the store collection, or they'll tell you the closest store available to it. So again, these are some of the capabilities you have using Dynamics 365. So again, what you're seeing here, there's quite a big scope for you to look at. So we then go to mixed reality. So mixed reality, it's a mixture of human beings and machines. and the environment, of course. So like I said earlier, mixed reality, we're basically combining the interaction. So if you see here, there's quite a big computer interaction, and you also have a big human interaction. And of course, we should never forget the environment. So for those of you who think, okay, oh, these artificial intelligence or these mixed reality things will take me out of work, the jobs are going to be less, a human being, a computer will always be needed. And those two cannot be present without the environment. So one of the things for you to remember here is you are feeding the computer. It's not the computer feeding you. So you are feeding it, the computer does its actions, and the requirements are met. So again, in here, if you see, it starts with the physical reality. So there's always a human in the beginning, and then you start talking about augmented reality. So here, the strategy here is to make sure the human interaction gets what's needed, trains the models, configure something for longer term use. So again, that's where we start speaking about the BP engineer in the United States, looking at an oil rig in Scotland, in Nigeria, remotely without attending. And in some cases, most of you are thinking, okay, yeah, they'll just jump on Zoom and they'll speak, right? Sounds interesting. So what then happens here, I'm going to show you on this next slide. Basically what happens here is, if you see, this is the person who is on the site. So again, this engineer here is somewhere else. If you see this person is wearing the goggles, this is what they're seeing. And they're seeing it in here. So this is called Holo Lenses. So these are pretty pricey. So most organizations, they'll invest it. So they range from about 2,000, 3,000 pounds. And if you talk about 3,000 pounds and as compared to flying an engineer almost once a month or twice monthly, it works out to be cheaper. So again, they're seeing here, they're actually having an interaction, and then they're being told, unscrew this part here. Again, that's an issue fixed without anyone moving. You've also empowered this employee. They now know this is the issue, this is how you fix it. Again, it's about empowering your employees. This person here, they do not feel left out anymore. They feel part of the team, they feel part of the organization. You can see here, this is the icon for Dynamics 365. And what you can do, apart from having this live, this can be stored. So the person can just play it back and say, okay, the last time it happened, this is how it was fixed. So at this point, it could be a different employee. This employee, all they're seeing is what's happening at this point and what area to touch here. 99%, it doesn't get it wrong. So again, you see where the human interaction is, it starts here. Then this person here is now getting involved. So again, yourself, you always be needed to make sure the organization has the right process from this point to this person to fixing the problem. So we're speaking about this person on the rig somewhere. We also have this remote assist. If you see again, same person, different employee. Again, this is what they're seeing in the HoloLenses. It's actually pointing to them to say, look at this point, and then it's pointing to say, this is the area we need to focus on. So here, there's a lot of our scope in terms of Dynamics 365. So do not start thinking, okay, I need to kind of understand everything, take it step by step and build upon it. We also have Dynamics 365 guides. So again, if you see here, we talk about guides. This is probably a new piece of equipment. It's telling them how to install it. They're wearing the HoloLenses again. It's telling them step by step. Step number 4, probably out of 8 out of 10. It's telling them this is how you do it. You screw it this way. So again, there's no need for an engineer for a product which has come either from China, Hong Kong, Africa, wherever it's come from. You have these systems now, and you must start asking me, okay, how is it loaded to these systems here? So again, we're talking about Dynamics 365. a cloud service, online service. For those of you who are not familiar with the cloud, in the next coming sessions, we'll cover why the cloud technology and what is it all about. So for those of you who've been to conferences, right, or showrooms, you see there'll be a show, the people selling their products, they'll come with lots of machines, lots of wardrobes to show you. So Dynamics 365 Visualize, you don't need to carry those tables, those equipments anymore. You now have the ability to show your customers the prototype of the product. And in some cases, the customer might say, I need this changed. So again, you now have the ability to actually alter the design and tell the customer the cost of it. So again, here, this is the person showcasing the product. This is the customer. The customer is looking at it. And again, you're bringing business for an organization. So it might be a furniture organization that do not want to be carrying furniture across the continent, across the globe. They just want to take someone with an iPad, show the customer, and at the same time, the customer might start looking and say, okay, this is where it will fit in our office. This is where it will fit in our warehouse. So again, what this does, organizations produce things to order. So they see what you need, they go and design it, and it's produced. So again, we speak about product visualize, they're looking at it. They also want to see the layout of the product. So again, this is all done by Dynamics 365. It's not you in a showroom again asking them, can you move it? I want to see the back of it. Can you see? I want to see what it looks, what the car looks like. This includes cars as well. So again, in here, the customer is seeing it. Again, he starts seeing there's points here where they'll see how the product is laid out. So again, there's a lot of opportunity. One of the things here for you to remember is with Dynamics 365, make a decision to say, okay, this is what interests me. I'm gonna more or less focus on that specific module and take it further. So I think most of you have been thinking, okay, this guy speaks a lot. One of the things I want to say here is we've spoken about the evolution of customer relationship management and ERP to business applications, the benefits of it, and where artificial intelligence and mixed reality fits in, right? So we also spoke about the business value. This is the most important one, the business value. What does it bring to my organization? So the same thing if someone comes and tries to sell something to you. For those of you who go to a mall, who get a phone call from a business saying, oh, I've got this product. What value does it bring to you? It's not just the organization, is also yourself as a customer. What value does it bring to you? So Dynamics 365, the value for an organization, you need to always make sure you remember that and how it fits in with this buzzword we keep hearing, digital transformation. So I've got some homework for you all. I hope you don't mind. So the homework, you won't do it at home, you do it on the phone call tonight. So one of the things I'm gonna ask is, does anyone has any questions to what we discussed this evening? So do not shy away.
Okay.
If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, I joined a bit late because I only discovered late. So I'm just catching up on everything. I only joined just before seeing the app you mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, so basically what we covered in this session was where this Dynamics 365 came from, some of the elements involved, and also where artificial intelligence is. So what can also help, since you joined a bit late, the slides will be shared, so you can always have a look at that. If you have any questions, feel free to just drop a line to the admin. I'll always be around to answer any questions you might have from those slides.
Eli?
Hello.
Yeah, for if someone want to become like a developer for the Dynamic 365, I mean.
Yep.
What do we need to do? Is it, if you already know other languages like Java, JavaScript and so on, can we still also become it, or does it have a specific language for it?
No, so Dynamics 365 itself is moving mainly from code to a low code, no code platform. So if you know other languages, it's a perfect place to start off from. One of the things which will be important for you to understand is exactly what is in Dynamics 365 in terms of the back end, not the front end. So in terms of what is involved with those tables, the relationships there, and how can I create a new table? How can I automate this process? So if you're a developer currently and you add those two components together, then you're good to go.
Okay, so one more question. Does it have a certificate? Like, can we get a certificate under the Microsoft Dynamic 365?
Yeah, so in terms of certificates, there's lots of them. So it starts from MB 901, which is Dynamics 365 Fundamentals, to MB 600 and MB 700, which should be Dynamics 365 and Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Solution Architect. So in terms of exams, I can tell you there's lots of them if you like those. But to start off with, yes, there is exams available. And as we go along through the sessions, I will kind of explain a bit more exactly how you can prepare for those and how to go about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
And my question
Um,
is, when are we likely going to have another section of this class?
So the next class, it will likely to be next Tuesday if I haven't upset any of you guys here, but I'll be more than happy to come back next Tuesday.
Right. And then the person who is in charge of this dynamics operation, is it still going to be an analyst, or what are they?
So,
God.
so there's a team involved. So you have your project manager, you have
Oh.
a business analyst. In some cases, you also have a scrum master involved. You also have a tester. So there's quite a few resources involved. So you won't just be alone onto it. If you happen to be alone on a Dynamics 365 project, most of the time there's something which is not quite right.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
And again, are we going to get the records for this section?
The record, you mean the recording for this session?
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's beyond my power. That would be up to the admin. But I'm pretty sure the admin is very kind enough to share with everyone else.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see.
what's the difference between the Dynamic 365 and Salesforce?
Okay, so Dynamics 365 and Salesforce is two different companies, competitors. So Salesforce, again, a brilliant product, which I haven't dived into myself. But Microsoft Dynamics, again, it is a competitor of Salesforce. So learning either of them, again, you're still on the right track. However, Microsoft have a bigger offering as compared to Salesforce.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So we also have someone asking if we can get the PowerPoint handout. Yeah, so the PowerPoint will be given to the admin, and the admin will be in a position to share that with us all. Any other questions from anyone? Please feel free to ask. We all learn every day, right? So we can always ask questions and we can always help each other here. If there's no any further questions, thank you so much for sparing some time on a Tuesday evening and also having me here. It's good speaking to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one more question, please. At what point do you become qualified as a Dynamic 365 before you start applying for jobs?
So the point you become certified and ready to apply for jobs depends on yourself. I can say to you, 1 year, I can say to you 1 month, I can say to you 2 months, but it depends how much additional work you put outside these sessions to understand exactly what it is. For me personally, it took me, I think, about 8 weeks. But back then, there was not a lot of resources to help me understand. So if you put your heart and soul to it, it shouldn't take you that long, that's for sure. So I have someone which I helped understand this. That was mid-January. They're already taken the exam now and they've passed, and now they're just expanding their knowledge.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And
No problem.
sorry, how likely do employers look out for the fact that you're Microsoft certified? Does that help get you jobs?
So in terms of certification, it validates you understand what it is, but the key thing is what you can do. So if you understand the product, you can always do the role as you go along. So at the moment, what Microsoft also have, they also have the opportunity. They give you 2 days training, and they also give you the exam voucher for free.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. What kind of what would you? Okay, I think you mentioned that earlier. I was trying to say, what would you call yourself as dynamic 360 what? Like, can you call yourself as a developer or as a consultant? Like, what is the occupation? What would you say is your occupation?
Yeah, so for myself, I'm a solution designer. So what we have at the current organization, we have a product owner who captures these requirements and create user stories. I look at these user stories and put a technical design together of what we're actually using. Are we using a batch process? Are we using an action? Or how the form is going to be laid out. So my job now, I don't actually um, touch dynamics. My role is just to have those designs and get a developer onto it. And if a developer doesn't understand some of the things in the design, we have a call, explain exactly what I'm expecting and how it should work.
Okay, so we can work in any area then, with any company, if they're looking for dynamic 360 certificate certify. Um, is that what you're saying?
So the certification part, it shouldn't be the barrier for you to get into it. The key thing is for you to understand the technology. You can always do certifications once you're in the door.
Okay. Like, I mean, like, what should we be looking out for? Like, if you're applying for the job now,
Yeah.
what exactly should we be looking out for? Like, what is the title? What is the name of the job role?
So if you go any job board, if you type in Dynamics 365 or if you
Mm-hmm.
type in Power Platform, you see loads of these jobs coming up.
Coming up.
Yeah, so you start seeing developer, functional consultant, solution architect. So there'll be various ones.
Okay, so we can work anywhere. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be one particular place. Yeah, I get what you
correct.
mean.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. If any other questions come up between now and the next session, please feel free to drop them in the group. And if I happen to pick it up, or if the admin picks it up, I'll do as much as I can to answer those. Have a good evening, all, and I look forward to speaking to you next week.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
and have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you